In today's video, we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of doing church online, digital ministry. These are 4 things that you need to offer in some way or form for actually what you're doing online to actually be church. And so this is the difference between, being a local church that's just broadcasting to actually being a church that's venturing into this digital space and doing things much more than just streaming your service. Again, there's many different ways to kind of approach digital. And you don't have to do everything, but you have to figure out how are you going to use this digital tool strategically for what your church's vision mission is. And so if you actually want to do full digital church, meaning embracing everything that's at your fingertips, again thinking about stewarding this moment that we're in wisely, you got to think about everything that is possible, and you really got to process, like, do we want to do this? And if you want to consider yourself a church that's embracing digital to its full capacity, you got to do much more than just pushing out a Facebook stream or a YouTube stream. And I believe that there are these 4 pillars, these 4 spaces that you have to kind of venture into. And there are 4, and there's a couple different ways you can approach this. The first one is a large experience. You got to offer large experiences, and this is what I would call your public offering. And this would be Sunday morning primarily. And this is what most churches very seamlessly have embraced, especially during COVID, because it's really easy. Facebook made this super simple years ago. I remember pre-Facebook offering free streaming, it was really expensive. It would cost you thousands of dollars potentially to stream, and you were paying for bandwidth, meaning more people that would watch, the more it would cost. And when live streaming on Facebook turned on, it was like, oh wow, like everybody started to really embrace it. But you need to offer live experiences, large experiences that are happening where people can corporately gather together. And these are important. Sunday morning when you go to church, in a traditional experience, you walk through the doors and you see other people, and it's a compelling experience. There's something about that. They call this in psychology it's called social proof. You kind of look around, you're like, hey, I'm not alone. And you need to do this online. I think a lot of churches miss this when they just put stuff up on YouTube and they make it on demand, and they don't have live experiences where you're watching together with other people. But large experiences are important. Primarily, this is going to be on Sunday morning, but you can do this throughout the year in other type of gatherings. We see this in Scripture too. Jesus does this in multiple ways. But in Matthew 21, and there are multiple times that Jesus does this, but Jesus, it says in Matthew 21, starting in verse 12, it says, Jesus went into the temple and drove out all those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the stools of those who sold all sorts of things. It is written that scriptures that God said, my temple will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a hideout for thieves. Jesus went to the temple, and the temple was a public place where you would worship God. And so Jesus had public, large experiences that he participated in. At the time, it was the temple. And he did this. We see this as a kid. He went to the temple. And all throughout his life, even the apostles, they still participated after they became believers. They would go to either the temple or the local synagogue, depending on where they're at. Their public worship is important, and your church needs to offer these type of experiences online if you want to do full digital ministry online. So this would be a live stream on Facebook or YouTube, but corporately gather people together. You need to have large experiences. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is medium experiences. These would be Zoom-like events, and these would be more social type of offerings. So you have public, these are more social, these are medium type of experiences. Our church and my ministry, we do this primarily through special events or classes we offer monthly. So special events might be, we're gonna teach through this book of the Bible. Come to this event on Tuesday at this time, and come on a Zoom. And we're gonna have less people on a Sunday, but it's gonna be big. It's gonna be a couple hundred people. And these are important events to kind of gather people together. We teach classes every month that are kind of our some we call it class, some people call it growth track. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can call it, but these are ways that we move from the bigger to a little bit a medium, and this allows people to kind of know each other. And so we see this in Scripture where Jesus does this in Matthew 5. The most famous example of this is the Sermon on the Mount. Seeing the crowds, he went up to the mountain, and he went and he sat down, and the disciples came to him, and the Beatitudes, and he opened his mouth and he taught them, saying. So it's not like a Sunday morning, or in their case, Saturday, a large temple type of gathering, but there's still a lot of people there. And Jesus starts talking, and we have the famous Sermon on the Mount, is this medium experience where he's kind of on a mountaintop and he's kind of looking over people. But these are really important events. This allow people to start to feel comfortable, because in a large venue, a public experience, a large experience, you're going to feel like one of hundreds or thousands. And this is like going to a concert, but a medium event allows the individual to kind of talk to other people and interact. And what's cool about medium type of experiences is that you could do this in a lot of creative ways online. This could be an event on Zoom. It also could be like a Facebook group where people can kind of interact with each other. What's interesting is that all these experiences can be done in a variety of different ways. They can be done live. They can be done on demand or asynchronized, where people can do it on their own time. And so Facebook groups are a great medium type of experience where people start to know each other. I have found in my own experience with online ministry that one of the hardest places to replicate online is the patio or the foyer type of experience, where after church or before church you run into people. I remember growing up, I didn't come to faith till I was in high school, but I remember I would always come to church early because I wanted to get like a pink donut. I'm a sucker for like the pink donuts with the sprinklers on top. My family makes fun of me because my daughter loves them and I love them, and I don't care. They're delicious. But I would come early and I would talk to people. I would run into people. I want that donut, but I also realized I also wanted the community. I wanted that medium type of experience, and you need to do that digitally in some way. I have found Facebook groups are a great atmosphere for that. And honestly, most of the time our Facebook group is all about getting my community to interact with each other. So I both post content in there to engage people, and I ask questions to kind of get them talking. And so I literally think of our Facebook group as a way to find people in your area and just to connect. I just want you to connect. I want to spark where maybe you're going to start a small group or do this ministry together, or you might meet up and go, oh, wow, I didn't know you lived this near me. Let's do this thing or whatever. It's literally about connecting people. I want people to connect with each other. And so medium types of experiences are that. So when you host a Zoom event and you might have 20, or 30 people or even 10 people, it doesn't matter. And yes, maybe you didn't reach 1,000 people, but at the end of the day, people started to connect with each other. And you start to have community, because you want you as the minister, the pastor, to not have to be the facilitator of everything. You want to create spaces where people can interact with each other. So the first pillar is this large type of experience, and that's going to be public. Then the second is this medium type of experience, which is going to be more social. And then the third pillar are small experiences, and this is going to be personal. We see Jesus obviously does this with his disciples all throughout, the Gospels. One in Matthew 10, it says, instructing the 12, meaning he's just talking to the 12, not to the crowds or to everybody. He says, and he called to him his 12 disciples, and he gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal every disease and every affliction. We see this also in Mark 4, when Jesus calms the storm. He's with just his disciples. Over and over again, Jesus spent time with just the 12, where he got super intimate. Primarily with your online ministry, in your digital ministry, this is going to be online small groups, types of settings, or Bible studies where you're getting individuals together. Either you have a master teacher model, where you have somebody who's highly trained leading through, or you have video curriculum or some kind of on demand type of curriculum where they can follow along that's based off the weekend sermon. I'm going to talk about online small groups only in a future video that's coming up, where I'm going to dive really deep in how we've launched thousands of online groups over the years. But you need to also offer small group type of experiences, because this is where people start to become known. This is the difference between, Sunday morning is going to be rows, small groups is going to be circles, and people can start to know each other. And as you can see with these 4 pillars, you're moving from very big experiences to very intimate experiences, and you're kind of moving down the road. But again, if you're just offering a YouTube stream and you're calling that digital church, I want to let you know church is much more than just Sunday morning, as you know, and your digital experiences need to have robust offerings. And so you need to have public experiences Sunday morning. You need to have medium experiences. These might be events on Zoom. You need to have, personal or small experiences. This is going to be where, for our church, we say, our small group experience is where you become known. And so we actually encourage friends and families to host small groups. I can't care for every person in our community. I could be a lifeline. I could be like the person you tag in a wrestling match if something's going on. But at the end of the day, if I'm the person that has to care for every person, our ministry is not going to get over, 50 or 100 people because there's a limit to my time. So small groups is how we scale that. And so you need to have a small group type of experience, digital groups, which can be on Zoom, Skype, or whatever platform that person kind of wants. The other thing is in the Old Testament, you see this as well, kind of talked about or and mentioned with the tabernacle and the temple, both in Exodus and in First Kings, where you what's cool is you think about this as kind of more public to more intimate. You see this as you move deeper into the tabernacle or deeper into the temple, where you have more intimate experiences, where you have the outer court and the inner sanctuary, or the Holy of Holies. Again, we are both we are wired to have communion with a bunch of people, and also to be super intimate with God. And so again, your online ministry, your digital expression of your church, whatever that means, that could be fully decentralized anywhere approach, or it can be a super localized. You need to offer all these type of options, or at least consider it. How do you do this? Because you could be a local church of 100 people, and yes, you're primarily meeting in your city, but you could have digital only groups that are really important, because either elderly who can't come to your church because of physical limitations, or it could be just reaching people. I found digital groups are a great way for people to come to know your church before ever making a commitment to join your church. Small experiences are very powerful. Yes, your YouTube stream is amazing, or your church online experience is very powerful, but people tend to not be known. And what I found in small groups, one of my first jobs in a ministry, I remember I led a high school small group, and I remember the first couple of weeks of a small group, especially with high schoolers, they're not saying much, but I remember just them starting to open up mid-year, and I just was like, wow, it's crazy. But it's because they start to feel safe and secure in meeting there. This is why, again, to have a true digital ministry, you need to think much more than just a Sunday morning type of broadcast push out. You need to have all these experiences. And then lastly, you need to have one-on-one experiences. And these are mentorship or one-on-one type of interactions. And these are intimate experiences. So the Sunday morning, the large experience is public. The medium experiences are more social. The small experiences are more personal. And then lastly, these are more intimate. Obviously Jesus models this in the Garden of Gethsemane type of prayer. And obviously his mentor is God the Father. And in Matthew 26, we see this. He's interacting with God. Specifically there, he's praying to God, God, if there's another way, please give that to me. But Jesus had this one-on-one connection. And this primarily happens in digital ministry through mentorship, connecting people to other people where they can go deep with people. Again, you and I, our time is very limited. And ultimately, to scale your ministry, your digital ministry, you need to connect people with other people, and you need them to go deep. And one of the things that I found is by training your core volunteers, your people that are mentors, on how to use these tools, specifically how to use Zoom, how to use whatever video conferencing tools. I found this one of the most amazing moments of COVID was there was this democratizing of these tools to realize, oh, wow, I can use Zoom or whatever platform, and I can continue on with my life. Yes, it's different than meeting face-to-face over coffee, but it's actually really powerful. I found that over the years, I have friends that I do life with that, I have a good friend of mine in New York City, and, we actually just spent, 2 hours recently on Zoom just catching up. And it's amazing. We are hundreds and thousands of miles away from each other, but we can just hang out with each other on Zoom. And once you train your team that, hey, not all ministry needs to happen face to face. Yes, maybe you want to say like, hey, I want you to still meet face to face, but teach them the potential of video conferencing and how you can just jump on a call. This is something I found during COVID that was a great learning of a lot of our local small groups at our local physical churches, where they realized that, oh wow, maybe before COVID, if we were sick or traveling or we didn't get a babysitter, you know what? We could still use Zoom. And I want your church to realize this. It doesn't have to be a full decentralized church where you never meet face to face. It's thinking of all these spaces and tools to kind of continue on and amplify and see no limits to what's possible while both meeting face to face and also fully decentralizing and using these digital tools. Obviously, the tabernacle and the temple, the holies of holies, was one of the most intimate places that you could go, and really the high priest could only go there very, very rarely. And I want to encourage you, think of when you're thinking about your digital ministry, think of the public spaces, the large type of atmospheres that you're creating, primarily Sunday morning. Think of your medium spaces, maybe your monthly events that are more social. Think of your small experiences that are more personal, where they're going to be under groups of 15, and then you're going to have intimate, more mentorship type of experiences. You need to have all these to really call it digital church or online ministry. And I wanted to encourage you that the last thing on here that I really wanted to hit on this is that there's many ways that these can be offered. They can be offered live online, where you're streaming them and you're participating. They can be offered in a home experience where maybe they're watching live and then they're in a home and they're interacting in some way. They also can be on demand where they can watch them later, and they can either be something that people participate real time, where they're synchronized, where they're doing something together, or they can be on their own. Like, for example, let's say you have a group of people a small group. We see this primarily in the small experiences where small groups might all go through something and they post their questions as they go, and they're more synchronized, or they're more on demand, and they don't have to participate at the speed of all get on a call and kind of do it this way. They can kind of do it on their own, and others are synchronized where they kind of do it together at a specific hour. Again, digital offers kind of choose your own adventure. The last thing is they could do it on their own, completely on their own. Like, I could watch a service on Sunday by myself, or you can do like church in a box, where you give them resources and somebody can host it with other people in their home or in a coffee shop, wherever. I remember years ago I had somebody reach out to me in remote areas of Pennsylvania, and they wanted to do church in their barn, and it was like, yeah, you totally can. But what's important is that if you want to do digital ministry, you got to think beyond just Sunday morning. You got to think about, your large, your medium, your small, and your one-on-one type of experiences, because you need to have public, you need to have social, you need to have personal, and you need to have intimate type of experiences to be fully digital church. So I would love to know in the comments, what if this have you tried? What has been more difficult for you to figure out? Again, I think Sunday morning is one of the easiest things. I think as you move deeper into the more personal type of interactions with digital, it gets a little harder. In our next video, I'm going to talk about the digital Tower of Babel and why this is important, why some interactions online are better than others. And so, again, please, I would love to hear your feedback on this video. Any questions you have, anything that I haven't covered. Again, this is going to be an ongoing series, so if you got something you want me to cover, please drop that in the comments. And thank you so much for watching.